welcome to Voices in Hyperspace, where friends get together and discuss the hit 90s space opera Babylon 5. Buckle your seatbelts and let's go.
I'm Legendary Bike Lion.
I'm Elisila.
Hey y'all, this is Sunday.
And today we are looking at episode... What is this? Episode 16 of season 3, entitled Grade 17 is Missing. This episode comes at a very interesting time in the progress of things that are happening on Babylon 5, because the last thing that we saw, Dr. Franklin was on walkabout, and he's just out there in the hood strolling about until he sees himself. And of course he runs into a beautiful young lady. But that doesn't help him find himself. And he does appear in this episode briefly. We'll talk about that shortly. But this episode does a couple of things that I think Babylon 5 just likes to do. One, we are absolutely getting on Garibaldi's nerves today. And I love your snort so much. It's so cute. I'm sorry. And don't ever stop. Don't ever stop. It's the greatest thing ever. And we elevate the importance of Delenn once again. And then we make fun of cults. Basically, not the whole episode, but half the episode is like, this is a dumb thing happened on Babylon 5 for some reason. And so let's just make fun of it. And I don't know, like, do we actually get any existential discussion other than the ramblings of Jeremiah?
I like the ramblings of Jeremiah because he was saying things that I agree with. It's the weird way in which they're in hiding with it, which I guess they kind of don't have a choice because they stuck down there. It also just shows how a society can be separate from another society by just living differently or living away from it. Separately was kind of the right word first. Kind of like language is changing when people move away from the others that speak that language. Their whole society was based on how they're going to get out of that situation. And they did it in a slightly scientific way, but they made the scientific explanation of their existence into a spiritual explanation. And to an extent, like, what's the difference? Because if your soul can be contributed to brain function, and brain function is contributed to electrons being shot through neurons, then technically your soul is energy.
And I don't think that it is problematic that just because you believe or even know a thing, that absolves you from fear of experiencing the next step.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, we'll pause this conversation.
You didn't have to be afraid to,
right,
or whatever. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Right. Belief and knowledge, unless you are like extremely certain, which humans have varying degrees of certainty, regardless of their knowledge and their belief. And so some people can have a certainty based on their belief, or a certainty in their belief that leads them to not be afraid of anything. We often relegate that to zealotry. Zealots will march into death based on beliefs. And there are people who have knowledge that they are very certain of, and they will march into certain situations that can be dangerous based on their knowledge and certainty in that knowledge. Both situations can be tragic because there's just stuff that we don't know that can harm us. And then both situations can have positive results, because what if they're just right, and then they are very certain in their rightness? One example, and I am so sorry, y'all, that I have to go on this rabbit trail. One example is a clip from Police Academy where they're teaching the new recruits how to shoot. And they got this rookie with a shotgun, and he shoots, and it just like, the shot goes wild, and then he is very confused, and he starts swinging the barrel of the gun around. He's trying to turn around. Every other recruit And police officer starts ducking because they're like, oh shoot, he's out of control and he might shoot one of us. Except for one guy who was Tackleberry. Tackleberry is a gun nut, and he knew that the rookie, after he chambered and shot off the round, he didn't rechamber a round. So there was no way he could harm anybody else. And so he just stood there stone-faced at attention while everybody else reacted. And he was the only one who brought attention. And a lot of people was like, why wasn't he moving? Why wasn't he moving? And, you get that detail about the gun, which he absolutely know because he's very well acquainted with it. And so his knowledge and certainty allowed him to feel safe in that situation while everybody else's lack of knowledge and lack of certainty had them fearing for their lives.
I think of it more in like a high diving board. I've watched so many people jump off the diving board, hit the water, swim back to the top, and be just fine. I know this is a safe thing to do. I am an excellent swimmer. I have no fear of drowning. Done that several times and came out on the other side. So I'm not necessarily afraid of the water, but I still have like the fear and the butterfly effect that you get in your system when you get up there and you just have to like step into gravity and let it pull you down. I understand how gravity works, and I know that this is a thing that is about to happen, and there is a relatively comfortable landing at the bottom of this, but it just doesn't make those emotions go away.
Yeah.
And the part of you that is just like preserve the existence that we have now. Fuck what you know about what's coming next. We still want to hold off for what we got. Yeah, burning the hand is better than two in the bush.
Oh God. Okay, let us proceed with the episode. So we open up with our good old buddy, old pal Zach, who is like 1,000 times more attentive, active, and more, flexing his intelligence as a cop, I guess. And he's put in charge of recruiting telepaths for the Shadow War. What they want to do is enlist these telepaths so they can put them on the front line so they can fight the shadows. They learn from Lita. That having a telepath is a big help. And so we have a table set up. Here's Zach, and there is a guy who just walks up to him, and Zach is like, oh yeah, oh, you want to join? Are you a telepath? And the guy was like, yeah, where do I sign? How much does this pay? And Zach is like, he already is just not feeling this dude. He's like, wait a minute. So you say you're a telepath? He's like, yeah. He's like, all right, who are you with? Are you with Psychor? And bro is like, no, I met with Psychor. They miss me. And he's like, Psychor doesn't miss anybody. So I was one of those guys that fell through the cracks. It's like, there are no cracks. Because Psychor is a fascist organization. They will find you. They will hunt you down. They will find you. They have a special set of skills. And basically the dude is trying to like sneak his way into the job. Now, you had a response to this Sunday. I want you to share your response first before I start going off.
Oh, thank you very much. It is all my pleasure to see another man take all of the confidence that we bestow into the males of our species, that you can just be unqualified for a position and then just like, give me what I got this. Oh, it's going to be difficult. I'll learn on the job. Sir, the audacity. Oh my God. Insert yourself. He was like, tampon. Like, really putting all of our lives on the line against the shadow demon folk. I need you to sit the absolute fuck down.
He was like, I can learn. You can learn to be a telepath in this universe. You either born with it or you not, or you taking some drugs. But needless to say, he was unqualified. He did not have the proper skills.
He just want the money.
I know, right? Which that brings up what I was going to harp on is like, yo, so people are so desperate for jobs on Babylon 5, they're trying to sign up to be telepaths on the front line. Like,
yeah, capitalism at its finest, Lester.
Right. And,
I hate the bottom.
Yeah. And, I harp on this all the time. And we know that this is being done on because Babylon 5 wants to make commentary on poverty and the challenges of dealing with poverty under these types of circumstances. And to the point where there are people who are going to try to sneak into jobs and positions that they're not qualified for so they can make a couple of bucks. It's going to attract all types, especially opportunists like this gentleman. It's a reflection of the real world. There are a lot of people who are in positions that they absolutely don't qualify for, and they got in, they got in so they can make that check. And I'll stop there. It is confusing to have destitute and homeless people on Babylon 5, but I guess if you got to pay for a room while you're in space, the fallout is they're going to have a lot of homeless people. So
they need tickets to get off.
Right. You need to pay for your transport off the station, and you can't pay for that because you're poor. It's really wild. Mm-hmm. So Sheridan and Ivanova, they're having a discussion about like how to get more telepaths, because Ivanova talks about how a lot of people are signing up, but then when they realize like, oh, we're going to the front lines, now I'm out. Which, yes, of course, you're going to the front lines and you will be a target. So I don't blame those people. And Sheridan is like, well, Franklin had the Underground Railroad going. Maybe we can talk to him to get like his notes and see if there's a way for us to contact those people. And this is where we find out like, okay, all of that information had to have been like protected, because Franklin doesn't want to leave breadcrumbs for people to start to snoop around on. So it's like, okay, well, we got to find Franklin. Well, Franklin's on walkabout. And unless we get in touch with him, there's no way we're getting in touch with the Underground Railroad and these telepaths. And so we have that problem that we got to deal with. Meanwhile, this part I thought was really interesting. We meet a maintenance person who is in Grace 16, and he's trying to fix a power relay. And, he did all this work. He doesn't know what's going on. And then he gets snapped. Like first of all, he's like in a manhole, question mark, a manhole on the station. Yeah. And he gets snatched below, and then we go to intro, and we have a mystery. Like, what on earth grabbed our friend who was he was just there doing his job. When we come back from the intro, we have a third part to the story. Delenn is on Minbar, and her and Lanier, they're arranging to send Sinclair's effects home from Minbar to like whomever on Earth or somewhere. That part doesn't get explained very well at all, but we get like some very flowery language from another Minbari who is trying to convince Delenn like, hey, since Sinclair is gone, we need a new Ranger of One. And they're not like, oh, could you come up with somebody? They're like, we think it should be you, Delenn. And she's like, me? There's no way it should be me. Which I agree. There's no way it should be.
Congratulations, you've been voluntold.
Yeah. And I think the argument is like, it only makes sense that it's you. Right? One of the things I wanted to say about what their comments on Sinclair I thought was kind of cool, because it kind of really neatly wraps up his whole appearance on the series for Sinclair, which was he seemed like he didn't have very many possessions. He seemed like he was just visiting for a time. And if we reflect back on season 1, Sinclair had basically a death wish. He didn't really connect with a bunch of people except for Garibaldi, kind of. And he talked about how he always wondered, like, why was he still alive? And now that we've got an answer to that, it's like, okay, yeah, maybe he didn't feel like he belonged because there's this temporal thing involved. And yeah, that's his destiny. He's the one who had a destiny to become the Minbari, not from Minbari, and appear with the Vorlons and be the legendary Valen. Which, yeah, that left a power vacuum for the Rangers, and they're like, yeah, we need a new Ranger 1. And so the offer for that position was given to Delenn, and she is really kind of flabbergasted.
Well, like, not too long ago, they were like giving her the cold shoulder because she had turned herself half human. Now that they revered this human, it's like, you're the closest thing we got to what we had before.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Baby, come back. You can be it all. Oh.
So, back on the station, Zach is talking to Garibaldi. He's like, "Hey, look, so we got this report, and it's a little bit weird." And Garibaldi's like, "Okay, what is it all about?" And Zach is like, "Well, we had a problem with the power relay, and we sent the tech to go fix it." And then Garibaldi's like, "Oh, wow, that sounds weird," being sarcastic. But then he explains like the tech that went to go fix it disappeared, and all the work was done. It was complete. Just the guy who did it is gone, just like ghosted. Garibaldi is like, this sounds like a great mystery. It's time for me to put on my gumshoe hat and go down and investigate.
Shadowing of the gun.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I did skip that part, but I want let's talk about it. So the scene opens up with Garibaldi polishing a revolver. He talks about how it used to belong to his grandmother, who was on the police force on Earth, and it's kind of like a family heirloom. He's over there polishing it. Zach is like, "Do they make many bullets for it?" And he's like, "No, not really. Since the force moved to PBGs, we don't get much ammo, but he has a pocket full of ammo right now." And what do they call it? A slug slinger, a slug thrower, which is an interesting way to call those type of projectiles. But that's a cool little way to like do future talk, I guess.
Yeah, because I've seen in other shows or movies where they like refer to old guns as it actually shot out a projectile. Like there's little things that came out of it.
Yeah.
You're like, really?
Yeah.
Well, and then it's also it seemed kind of weird, but then when you think back to like season 1 where he had the motorcycle, he does have a fascination for like old timey stuff.
Yeah. He wants to be an old school motorcycle cop, like Chips. So then Garibaldi decides he's going to investigate the disappearance himself. And down below, we get to see Ivanova is roaming around in a seedy bar night spot, which, yeah, I have a question, y'all. What is it with Franklin going to like these seedy night spots? Is he always trying to romance a jazz singer or a woman that frequents those spots? Like, what's the deal? He seems to like it a lot.
Feels comfortable. It's probably where he spent his time in college studying to become a doctor, is in a bar somewhere on a way out scene and whatnot.
I kind of feel like he puts on so hard to be the perfect doctor or whatever, and that's why he was taking the stems in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And so him to relax would be to go to the complete contrast of a sterile professional setting like sick bay. Ours would be the contrast of and completely getting away from that place where he has to put on so much.
So he kind of finds like some catharsis being around like the gritty, seedy night scene. Like it's not so structured, it's not so controlled. He's not in control. That's interesting. We might be diagnosing this guy. We're not, but so Ivanova is looking around, and Franklin from behind like a partition in the bar is like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, wow, he spotted her so fast. She has no instincts. and he also spotted her while he is detoxing from the stems. So he must be hyper aware or something. Something's up with him.
Sure.
Yeah.
Even in his dialogue, he's just enormously paranoid. More paranoid than having the shadows attack them.
Yeah.
I was disappointed in Ivanova in the scene that she had to query to his physical state. Like, what do you mean? What's wrong with him? He's clearly an addict in withdrawals. Like, hello, even a blind person could see that.
Maybe Ivanova never watched anybody go through withdrawals. Her dad was an alcoholic and he didn't stop. So, that just could be a blind spot for her. But yeah, so there's Sweaty Franklin talking about don't you ever come back down here. Because and she's like, hold on. We need you. And he's like, I can't come back because I gotta deal with this first. And he explains how like the challenges and struggles of detoxing from the stems because they stay in your system longer. And it's gonna take a little while for him to go through this episode, which gosh, that has to be painful. Like you just got basically it's like your body is having a fever and you're fighting a disease, but the disease is chemicals you put in your own body. And your body
Is he choosing to go the poor man's route? Like he could go through what are those places where people like go to PubMed or whatever?
rehab.
Is that what it's called? Yeah, they go to fancy rehabs that, give you little bits of what you need and then wean you off of it slowly and all that stuff.
Those are probably on Earth.
And yeah.
And he has to make everything difficult.
Yes.
Because he's Frank. Yeah. He has to do things the hard way because he needs to stick his chin in the air and tell everyone, well, I did it this way. Because it's that be not a badass.
It's his Messiah complex. He has to suffer for the betterment of mankind.
It also makes like he's actually on a walkabout now that he's actually like suffering because he clearly still has his income as a doctor. He's got a savings. He's got a place to go if he feels like it. He can spend credits and get food all he wants. But so there's no suffering. Usually if you go on a walkabout, you out there in the Australian desert trying to survive. And the dehydration and all this stuff, he's on a space station with plenty of money. Like, so in order to make it look like he's actually going to walkabout, he has to go through this detox because technically 200 years in the future, they should be able to detox your system with like they should be able to flush it
or something. Right.
So if it's an artificial dying upgraded artificial dialysis or something, they didn't put any type of thought into that other than Franklin's personality.
Well, that's kind of the difference between Babylon 5 and Star Trek also. Because Star Trek has all of this advanced medical technology that they're able to do that. Like, they can mend bones really quickly, which it seems like that's the one thing that Babylon 5 has. They can, like, help you mend your bones. But the rest of it, it seems like, oh, yeah, 200 years of medical technology advancing. And what do we have? We don't have much. We got new diseases and how to treat those, and that's about it.
They still have capitalism. It was the same Star Trek and Babylon 5. They weren't under a capitalist system. So that just goes to show if we continue with this bullshit, we're still not going to have the advances that we could if we were all cooperating under whatever the fuck you want to call it.
People still about our current history because we had the Middle Ages, the Catholic Church and superstition kept science at bay. Like even in Islam, like eventually someone decided, well, everything happens because of Allah. Stop looking into it.
Right. We'll touch more on the faith thing here shortly because we're about to get to it when we talk about the cult. But basically, Ivanova promises like, okay, we're not gonna try to come after you as long as you give us information. So Franklin tells her like, okay, look, just go into my office. All the stuff is there. Here's what you need to get access to it. Now go, get out of here, kid. You don't need me anymore. And she goes to get information and to take it back to Sheridan. Then we get a scene where Garibaldi is investigating the disappearance of the tech guy in Gray Sector. He goes to that area where the tech was working before, and it is very clean. It looks great. It doesn't have wire spilling out everywhere, which, wow, that has to be a very specialized job. It makes me think of how like landlines were set up back in the day, where you had like that giant box that connected all the phone lines, and you had to go in there and figure out what is what and move things around or whatever. Telecommunications. Well, that stuff is clean. And Garibaldi, he's talking to another tech who is again talks about like, yeah, he disappeared. We don't know. And Garibaldi is like, yeah, we can check all the gray sector. It's only 30 levels. And the woman is like, no, it's 29. He was like, what? On the schematics, it says 30. And she's like, no, it's just 29. It's a mistake in the blueprints. You know how things are. They were trying to get this place going fast. And, it's just, it honestly, it sounds like an urban legend type of thing. It's like, oh, no, it's not really 30. It's only 29. There's a special invisible level. It's kind of like when buildings have the 13th floor. They don't actually label it 13. They skip 13 and go to 14.
Oh, yeah.
Because
it's haunted.
Yeah.
Suggestion type thing.
So Garibaldi is confused, like 30, 29 levels. He's getting his mystery fix, which this is what I got to say about that. Garibaldi knows how to do his job when it is interesting. Is this an indicator that Garibaldi has ADHD? Because he doesn't tell anybody anything unless they ask, but he be having all of this like detailed information and he doesn't know what to do with it, which makes him terrible at his job, but he's good at certain points. Like this episode, he's good for the most part.
And like he uses that like attention to detail that ADHD has for being nosy.
Yes. Yep. More to think about. So we switched to Sheridan and Delenn. Sheridan is very supportive of Delenn getting the leadership of the Rangers, and she's kind of tentative about it. And she expresses doubt about her popularity because of all the stuff that she does. She's half human now. She broke the Great Council. They don't like her. They said, don't come here no more. And she's like, I don't think I'm the right person to be leading this group. They need somebody who they will trust.
They don't fuck with you.
Yeah. And Sheridan gives his confidence about it. Like, no, I think you do great. And then he like turns around and leaves. As soon as Delenn turns around, there's Neroon. He's just there, like in the corridor. No idea that he was there. How did he get on the station? No, like where did the ship come from? All of that, like lots of those questions. But he just appears behind Delenn and he's like, oh, I hear that you are really trying hard to gain some power. And he runs down this whole thing about like how she's in a position because, yeah, we don't like you, but we allowed you to do this stuff. But now it looks like you want to become the leader of the Rangers. And that sounds like a job for the warrior cast. He says something that is pretty ironic. He's like, a religious zealot in charge of like the military, that always leads to problems. I'm like, okay, what about a war fanatic in charge of the military?
Sounds like the same side or two different sides of the same coin to me.
Right. And also Neroon reveals his xenophobia. He talks about how the Rangers were made impure for letting humans to be part of it. He's like, we tolerated that, but like this, you trying to seek power, that is intolerable. And he was like, here's what you're going to do. Here's what you were going to do. You're going to publicly give your power over to me, and then I'm going to rule the Rangers because we can't let you do this. And then she's like, look, you had the opportunity when we had the Great Council, but all of y'all said that y'all ain't want to do this stuff together. And he was like, nah, man, you the one who broke the council. It's like, because y'all wouldn't act. Y'all acted dumb. And so they end that conversation. He's like, give the control over to the warrior cast or else. Pretty much. That's pretty much how it came across, right? We get back to Garibaldi. He's investigating the lift. Now, this part, I thought like, okay, this shows some dedication and also his hyper fixation because, I mean, 30 floors, right? But he is literally riding the lift and counting the amount of seconds it takes to get from one floor to another floor. and he got to 16. The door opens, he sees the corridor, the door closes. He's just rolling on the elevator, which, like, does he write reports at the end of his day? Like, does he actually have to, like, say, like, today I fucked around on the elevator?
He probably uses lots of flowery language.
Right. Which this one actually, it bears some fruit, because he goes between 16 and 17, and he learns that it takes longer to go from 16 to 17. And he's like, that ain't right. And then he goes back to 16, and then he counts to get to 17. Then he pauses the elevator and he forces the door open. And lo and behold, grade 17, this corridor in disrepair. There's a lot of junk everywhere. And it's like, there's a part of the station that we've never been to before. And I'm like, in the 5 years that this place has been in operation, none of you have investigated every last
No,
floor?
but yeah, because they thought that there was they said, oh, it was a glitch, so they didn't think about it. They're like, we didn't get paid enough to like investigate that much,
Yeah.
and they don't have snippers that could find him. Like a
Yeah. And I'm not going to say, like, that's unbelievable, because in real life, there are, like, buildings with floors and houses with secret rooms and stuff that people just don't know about. And it's like, people know that it's there, but then they just, like, over time forget. Like, I don't know. It's a thing that happens. Meanwhile, Lanier, he arrives. He distracts Delenn from her confrontation with Neroon, which this dude, Neroon basically Batmans his way out of that corridor. I still don't know what kind of magic this dude does. But he expresses his disbelief that Neroon would challenge Delenn, and he fears for Delenn's safety. In their conversation, Lanier is actually being a lot more forward about saying, like, hey, I care about you, and it sounds like he threatened you. and then Delenn is like, well, you could get that if you see it from a certain way. He's like, no, he's gonna kill you. What's wrong with you, woman? But she's like, look, I understand your concern, but you are forbidden from reporting any of this stuff to Sheridan or anybody else. This is our own situation. We're going to deal with it ourselves. And so Lanier is looking all like, dang, you really cutting me off at the base here, ain't you? I know I'm joking around a little bit, but Garibaldi on the forgotten level of 17, he's walking around. He's got he walks through and that elevator closes and it locks, which problem number 1, right? He didn't expect that to happen, but come on, y'all.
But he doesn't tell you where he's going.
Right.
Taking with him.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they're short staffed still, maybe, but you could at least tell people where you are.
I mean, if you think about it, because he might not want to report, like, I did this all.
Oh yeah, you could say he was still investigating the guy who went missing.
Yeah, but he can say, like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. He knows how to lie. Like, I was investigating the guy that was missing, turned up nothing. Ah, shucks. Well, that's a 14-hour day. Pay me. But
Right.
but now he's stuck on 17, and he pulled out his gun. He doesn't immediately tell people where he's at, so he has his comm there, but he's not using it. He walks down the corridor, and another thing that happens in the 90s that I absolutely hate, they have a talking puppet, but for no reason whatsoever.
It was great. I loved it. You want to play a game?
So,
Like, and everybody said that's the thing.
right. The puppet laughs at him like, you're not supposed to be down here, and then it shoots a tranquilizer dart from its eye, which, come on, y'all, extra creepy. Garibaldi takes it. He starts to try to communicate now on his comm, and then he just passes out. Just out of there.
Their acting, though, in the passing out from a tranquilizer, I thought it was great. I'm like, that actually looks like he's been drugged. but I was seriously disappointed with you using all of those brain cells to find this missing floor and then not consider how you gonna get back out if you decide to walk into somewhere that nobody has known was there for 5 years.
Right.
Yo, make it make sense. And the state that the place looked, right? They're like, hell, I'm surprised the door, he had to pry it open to begin with. If this door closes back behind you, the lack of forethought in that disappointing. So he's being super smart until he's not.
I mean,
Yeah, that mask Garibaldi.
Yep. Well, yeah. So we switch to Lanier. He immediately goes to Marcus Cole, and he's like, okay, look, here's the situation. I was told that I couldn't tell this information to Sheridan. Also, I can't tell anybody part of the senior staff or any officer because it might be told to Sheridan. So, and I would break my oath of not telling Sheridan. Nobody said I couldn't say nothing to you. And Marcus is like, well, you seem to be quite the martial artist when it comes to twisting words. Like, is there some special martial arts school for that? And he, he's talking it up because Lanier is finding the loophole around his orders, right? And he tells Marcus that he's afraid that Neroon is going to murder Delenn, and someone like Marcus needs to know, and maybe they can do something to help him. And Marcus is like, yeah, but Minbari don't kill Minbari. And Lanier is explaining, like, whatever Neroon does to Delenn might result into a desire for retribution from the religious caste. And this could spiral out of control into a civil war. Is like, really, this is what we need you to do. You need to delay Neroon until after the ceremony. Like, we need Delenn to become the leader, and then after that, everything should be good because she'll have the part, yada yada yada.
Which is understandable that he thinks he's gonna try to kill her. It's understandable that this is a dangerous situation, but if a member of another caste has a concern with who's coming into power, especially after he highlights the vacuum that she created and now she's being put in charge of, I think his concerns should be voiced to the public for their opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's respecting Delenn even though it's illogical.
All right, he is respecting her to the letter of what she said, but he's going all the way around to be like, look, this woman's crazy. We need to protect her. She's trying to die. This dude is crazy. He's trying to murder her. Come on, what can we do? And then Marcus, I have a lot of questions about, especially after this episode, I have a ton of questions about Marcus. He also has kind of like a savior syndrome as well. And we've seen him deal with bits and pieces of that in past episodes, but it flares up. Bro just wants to die in battle.
It comes up a lot.
Yeah.
I think it comes up a lot because when he was supposed to give up something, he's like, I don't have anything to give up. Like, my life is just here to fight this because I have to honor my brother or whatever. He doesn't have his own identity outside of being a ranger.
Yeah. And that was the thing that Delenn pointed out, give up your pain about that, which, ouch, Delenn. And she says it so matter-of-factly. She's like, hey, well, that's what you got to give up. It's like, come on. You trying to tell me to give up the part of my soul that keeps me breathing today? Yeah. Anyway, so we see that Garibaldi wakes up. No weapon, no comm link. He is on the forbidden level, and he immediately is confronted with Jeremiah, who's kind of in some tattered clothes and whatnot, and he is rambling on about the universe and understanding, where we are one with the universe, we're part of the universe, when we die, we go back to the universe, all of that stuff. So at this point, the cult doesn't necessarily look and sound dangerous, but Jeremiah, he comes across as being authoritative, right? And he is talking Garibaldi's era.
Well, especially since they trained him as soon as he got there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. While that's going on, the Rangers, they begin to arrive, and it's a lot of them coming to the station. Sheridan is talking with Delenn, and they end up talking about her father. And Sheridan is like, "Hey, you've never talked about your family before." And she gives this story about how her father used to carry her to temple every day until one day he told her that she was too big for him to carry. And then that's when she realized, like, oh, we are aging. One day my dad is going to be dead. And she said that at that moment she loved him more than any other time in her life.
I had my heart just kind of ripped out of my chest as I was watching that part. I remember where I was standing outside when my dad, who has now passed, told me that he couldn't pick me up anymore. My feelings were hurt. I'm like, what? You're always going to be able to hold me. And then there was no more of that type of connection with him. And she's right, when you lose that parent, like,
Yeah.
it's really tough to hear her explain that she knew it then, even though I didn't know it then. Knowing it now still makes
Stings, yeah.
it feel a little better. Like, yeah.
Yeah. The way that she described it too. Well, what I wrote down is like, this is another moment for Sheridan and Delenn to connect. She explains that her father passed beyond the veil 10 years ago. And I love that flowery language. I think I'm going to start using that from now on. I hate it. I don't like her. Let's say someone passed away and all of that stuff. It's like, I like the poetry of it, you know? So backing down below, Jeremiah continues to talk Garibaldi's ear off, and he's talking about the Minbari. He's like, the Minbari knew the truth that we were one with the universe. And it reminds me of Delenn's conversation when they were talking about what they believe. And like the religious cast of the Minbari are not religious as in they believe in the deity, but they believe that the universe is the greater being and that it is conscious and that they are part of it, and that like sentient beings are the universe attempting to understand itself. And in a not so eloquent way, Jeremiah reflects this, and it comes across more as like comical because Garibaldi is not having any of it at all. And
Comes your universal truth.
right. And Garibaldi's like, so like, is there a way out of here? And Jeremiah's like, nope. The pressure doors are locked. The tubes is shut. We're stuck here. We tap into the recycling system and purify it. And I'm like, wait a minute. You mean the water reclamation system? So you guys are reclaiming gray water down there and purifying it? I'm disturbed. They're drinking people's dirty pee and shower water down here.
That's what everyone is drinking on the station.
Yeah. How are they purifying it? Like, what do they have to like? And you remember down below just leaks all the time. So what tools, what technology, what they got down there?
Well, and apparently it got blocked off during the station's creation. So maybe someone really wanted to have their own little cult, decided to block themselves off down there and trap people so that they can have people to control. And that would be more of the culty thing than the actual belief. The cults are more about control, not necessarily what they believe. They just use what they believe to control people.
Yeah, it kind of comes across as maybe there was an experiment or something going on too. I don't know.
Without knowing how it actually started.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, there Jeremiah is basically talking about that they're down there trapped, and the only way out to open the door is we must purify ourselves. We must have internal purity, which will open the door, which is also internal, and it's like weird, right? He's like talking in circles. Garibaldi clearly has a headache. He hates what's happening right now. We switch back to Neroon. He's trying to go towards the ceremony to confront Delenn, and there's Marcus Cole confronts him. He stops him. He's like, yeah, you're not going to that ceremony. He's like, come on, man, step out the way. And Marcus is like, I'm challenging you to a duel. And I don't know the word he uses, but it means to the death. And Neroon is like, all right, son, I do this. I do this for fun. I'll fight you to the death. And they're all doing the martial arts thing where they're bragging about how long they've trained with the full staff. And then they have the worst open to a fight ever. And this, I believe, is because the actor for Neroon is an older gentleman, and they didn't really have a ton of time to get him to look convincing as a fighter. So they have some little taps back and forth, and I'm just like, oh God. Like, I start to cringe seeing that happen.
Yeah, and it also like his species is so much stronger than humans that maybe he didn't necessarily need to. That's what's going in my mind. Like a Vulcan fighting a human.
Yeah.
For that one time Spock fought Kirk. That didn't make any sense. It made sense why, but the fight itself didn't make any sense because Spock should be able to just throw him. Like, here, why was I struggling?
Well, they got to show that that Kirk is a force to be reckoned with. Which that's the same thing they're doing with Cole. I look at Cole and I'm like, he's a hothead. He's impulsive. He's very smart, but Bo is like, it's like Sinclair, where it's like as soon as he hears an opportunity to nearly die, he's like, oh yeah, I want that. Let me get it. So he's fighting the leader of the warrior caste of Minbari, getting hammered. During the ceremony that the Rangers are appearing to, Sheridan is like, hey, by the way, where's Marcus? I kind of figured that he would be here. They switch back to Marcus in the room, beating the crap out of each other. We switch down below to see that Garibaldi is trying to escape. Jeremiah rambles on more and more about the universe, and he starts to step into like the more woo-woo and fantastic aspect of it, where he's like, we need mental purity. You must be, purity of heart and mind in order to open the door. Garibaldi then, while Marcus is talking, Garibaldi then feigns having cramps. He's like, oh man, that tranquilizer you gave me, I get all these cramps and it's getting worse this time. Jeremiah sends one of his acolytes to go get another guy. And so it's Garibaldi and two guys there. So Garibaldi immediately springs into action, punches the other guy in the face, knocks him out, grabs Jeremiah and is like, look, you're going to do everything that I tell you to do. You're going to be looking at your shoes for the rest of your life. In other words, he's like, not only am I going to choke you out, but I'm going to kill you. He has his arm around his neck. We switch back to see the fight that is still going on between Marcus and Neroon is like, look, I'm the leader of the warrior caste. I'm very much stronger than you. Why are you still here fighting? And Marcus is like, for her. Like, I'm fighting for her. Like, we die for the one. We live for the one. We die for the one. Which, that's exactly what Zathras said in the different time travel episodes. It's like, we live for the one. We die for the one. And she is the one. And Neroon breaks Marcus's ribs, and he's like, well, look, there's no reason for you to be doing this. And then Marcus says again, we live for the one, we die for the one. And after some serious looks on their faces, we switch. We see that Garibaldi and Jeremiah are navigating 17 again, And Jeremiah talks about like, oh, we don't believe in violence because they found the remains of the maintenance tech's clothes, and basically he's saying like, we didn't do this. Like, we're crazy, but we ain't killed nobody. And you were a loud shriek, and it turns out that it is a Zarg. And this is where Garibaldi finally gets pissed off. He's like, wait a minute. Y'all get down here the whole time, and y'all got a Zarg, the most dangerous alien in the sector. What is wrong with you? And this is where he scares the Zarg thing away with some steam. But he's like, come on, we need something. I gotta have something. And he looks in his pocket, and there he has bullets for his revolver. And he makes a makeshift like gun, and he uses it and blasts. He blasts his Zarg and kills him.
But one of the steam pipes.
Yeah, steam pipes. There you go.
I want to go into the physics of how that's supposed to work.
It's TV magic.
How did you shoot them? Look, hey, how did you hold up enough pressure to shoot a Zarg and actually control the release of
that? Like actually hit him.
A valve pipe with a steam.
Yeah. Right. And this is honestly okay. So this part of the episode, this storyline, this is J. Michael Straczynski flexing his muscle about Chekhov's gun. That if a gun is presented in Act 1, which it was, it has to be used by the final act, which it was. And it's like, but he has this little twist on it. It's like maybe not the gun, the bullets, you know. So for all you film lighter fans out there, just kind of, you know, you can subvert some of the expectations there and fulfill them while you're making some fun commentary on it. Because also think about it, he had to hit the Zarg perfectly, because those are slugs. He could puncture the hole and space everybody on the station.
Yeah.
So just think about that special happening. Neroon later arrives at the ceremony. His face is all scratched up, and he has a bow staff that is all bloody. And he refers to Delenn as Intelza before leaving, which is him affirming her as the leader of the Rangers. And we learn what that means, which is humans will not die for Neroon, but they will die for Delenn. And it's like, I can't really be a leader if nobody's going to listen to me. So he completely gives up and acknowledges that, yeah, that's Delenn. They will live and die for the one. Moving into the last part of the show, we got Marcus recovering in MedLife. Dude got beat. He just beat like within inches of his life. He didn't win that fight. Lanier is defending Marcus's decision to confront Neroon. Neroon comes in and he's all like, I want to have a conversation with him alone. Which Lanier's like, what, you come to finish your job, son? It's a bunch of us here now. We can take you. And he's like, no, I ain't here to fight. We just need to talk. And he shows respect to Marcus for basically nearly sacrificing his life for another Minbari. Is like, I've never seen a human do that before. He's like, you're more Minbari than we are. Especially you're invoking the name of Valen. Like you are worthy of this respect. And Cole, semi-conscious, he's like, okay. Well, the next time you have a great revelation, can you make sure that it's not so uncomfortable? And Neroon has like a big hearty Klingon style laugh. Which especially this episode, it makes me think like the Klingons and the Minbari do kind of sort of reflect, like mirror each other. The Minbari are not as aggressive as the Klingons, but their headpieces are their headpieces are backwards though. Like the Klingons have their headpieces on their foreheads, and the Minbari have it on the back of their heads. So,
Well, I mean, they're just always going to look you have a society, even if it's just a part of a society, that's a warrior society. Because, like, you could compare the Klingons to the Vikings. Okay, there's a couple of species in Orville. It's like, are you supposed to be a Klingon? Eventually, it was like, okay, y'all are the Klingons, and that
Yeah.
fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, but it's like, yeah, you have a society of warriors, so y'all don't look like you're
Yeah.
kind of.
Right. They're gonna try to make him look extremely aggressive or whatever. I was looking at Neroon's clothes too. Like, it makes me wonder what the idea behind the costume design was, because he has those shorter pads, and it looks like it could be like a chest protector, but all of it is cloth. So maybe it's kind of a throwback to the warrior caste past, when they used to wear armor, and they still reflect that in their robes. So it's kind of a cool, some cool details. I mean, I know they saved money on the way that they did it, but it's like that act, like, if you really want to put some headcanon to it, that actually could be a cool way to look at it.
Yeah, because it would be impractical for them to do it, but then if it was so important to them as warriors at one point.
Yeah.
We also questioning, how did you get a warrior cast? At one point, y'all had to stop fighting each other. Yeah, then it just, okay, we're going to make a warrior class because now there's other species to fight.
And it seems like they are ready to fight.
Right. Like, y'all going through some changes, apparently.
Yeah. We also get a little bit more information about the cast, the worker cast, which we've not really seen. Well, maybe we've seen some of them, but we don't really know. The religious cast and the warrior cast. The worker cast, they build. So all of those beautiful crystal palaces, they're the ones who make it. The religious cast, they're the ones who hang out in front of them talking.
They pray.
And the warrior cast, they're the ones outside protecting them. So it's just like, yeah, harmony. When we wrap this up, we have Garibaldi, who is meeting with Sheridan in the office, and he starts to, and Sheridan is like, Garibaldi, where you been all day? Like, we had this ceremony and you were just not around. And Garibaldi's like, okay, well, first off, we have a secret sector. We have a secret floor in sector 17. And then there's a guy down there who has a cult. And then there's a Zarg, and then the universe is trying to, he's just explaining his little solo adventure, which sounds ridiculous when you put it all together, especially with Garibaldi's words. But yeah, it's like he takes kind of a weird situation and makes it comical, because Garibaldi, that's just who he is. And so we have the episode wrapped up. Do y'all have any other thoughts to go in there?
I did enjoy this one because it did have, it wasn't so metaphorical. It was like straight up, like what I would have said, but kind of. And then the contrast between the cult being ready to die for universal truth, or like coming to terms with their connection to the universe, and then Marcus will be willing to die for his cause. It kind of paralleled a little bit. People going off to do things by themselves that they shouldn't be doing by themselves. They clearly are. In both stories, yeah. I do like it when the two stories going on, or three sometimes, actually parallel each other and tell the same story in a different way.
I feel like maybe Straczynski and the writers aren't saying this specifically, but this comes across as like there are different types of fanatics. There are religious fanatics and there are political fanatics. And Neroon kind of represents like on the political side, because his contention is with the leadership of the Minbari, and like he wants things to be the way that they were. After the Great Council fell, he took the warrior cast as like, no, we're gonna do our own thing. We are going to protect Minbari, and that's the way it should be. That's the way it should have been. We shouldn't have been messing around with these other people. They almost killed us. Let's purify our race. So, and we can just take care of each other. His xenophobia and straight up racism did shine through, but then he got a bit of a reality check when a human went toe to toe with him, which got his respect. And it makes me think like maybe because of the ship battles, they didn't respect humans because humans are very win at all costs, and Minbari are like, nah, let them shoot. We'll deal with it later, and we'll destroy them later.
We're like babies to them.
Oh, yeah.
For their race, they feel superior to us because we're immature in so many ways compared to them.
I mean, they were spacefaring 1,000 years before humans were, so yeah, we're babies.
Again, comparing to Star Trek, like the Vulcans treated human and Enterprise. Like, I'm sure y'all want to start going out into space. I think you need some more time.
We need to hang out. Can we hold your hand when you go out there? Now, don't let talk to them. They don't like us. They ain't gonna like you.
You want to send a babysitter out there with you
Yeah.
so you don't die. Y'all gonna need her.
Oh, the Blue Andorians? Oh, we don't talk to them. We don't sit with those guys. The religious fanatics, the cult, it was interesting because ultimately they were just powerless. They were trapped due to that circumstances. And the thing that was super dangerous, which they did revere, Jeremiah said, I am not sufficiently transcendent enough. Basically, like when he was talking to Garibaldi, he was basically saying the way to get out of here is to die. And then he's like, how come you haven't faced this arc? He's like, I'm not sufficiently transcendent. In other words, I'm not ready to die yet, so I'm a coward down here.
Mm-hmm. That's a nice little metaphor for religion in general. Like the things that we are afraid of, we come up with these metaphors to explain them and to explain how to live with them or around them. And death may be one of those things. Escaping the floor may be one of those things because the thing was blocking the door. And using religion to explain those things, pretty much how religion comes to be.
Yeah. Well, especially the ones that are like isolationists too. They're like, don't bring outside influences. We need to take care of each other in here. And then they form their beliefs around the things that are internal. And they're afraid of things on the outside. It makes it challenging to interact with because they have their own internal secrets, their own beliefs that are like unapproachable.
Yeah. In their own language too.
Yeah.
Even when they learn other languages, they still use way.
Yeah. So that's the episode. Sunday, do you have any thoughts on any of the shenanigans for this episode?
Yes, I do. When Marcus had to place his life on the line and it allowed the Minbari to come around to the connection of the human Minbari, like the dynamic that they're developing.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was wonderful, but it'd be really nice if, like Marcus said at the end, if you can get your revelations a little more gently. I really hate that.
Yeah.
It's another really wonderful and amazing thing too, even though it's on the screen, like it's on television. This isn't something that's happening in real life. Like your feelings and your emotions don't know the difference between like something happening for real and something that happening for fake. Hey, so I'm gonna save you guys some time and money in therapy. You can pretend I'm giving you the secrets right here. Y'all write this down. You can pretend to heal your feelings and things. If somebody hurts you, you can like pretend an apology to yourself from somebody who did you wrong. And I'm telling you, it really works because when he realized that the Rangers were willing to die for her, and he's like, I know they'll follow my orders, but they not about to die for me. Like, oh God, no. And he came out of a cognitive dissonance that he was inside of. And to experience that, even for pretend on the television, it was, given my empathetic little heart all of the warm and fuzzies. So if you can ever experience that in real life, it would probably feel 10 times better than I felt right then.
It was cool to see that Neroon came around and we saw the way. And it also feels like your zealotry, once it is challenged by reality, can shift, can change, it can melt, it can go away. And you can start to see things differently. And that was part of Neroon's revelation. Yeah. I think I'm going to stop there so I won't say nothing inflammatory. Yeah. So, with anything else, let's get on out of here. We would like to thank you all for joining us in this episode of Voices in Hyperspace. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Be sure to like, share, follow, tell your friends all about us, and let's continue the conversations in all platforms. You can find me, Legendary Black Lion. I'm the most available on Instagram right now, even though I am on Blue Sky. And actually, yeah, we'll just keep it there. I'm on Instagram and Blue Sky. Check me out at Legendary Black Lion.
I know Asylum. You can find me at mailsrebellion.com. I'm also on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads. Yeah, you can find links to those on my website, mailsrebellion.com, and you can find my book, Unrooting the System, available now on Amazon.
Hey y'all, this is Sunday, and you can find me at a poker table.
All right, and we'll see you out there. Peace.